Today's Daily Dose of Math is about the concept of parallel and perpendicular slopes. A couple of small, simple concepts, but which are important when studying straight lines. My students and in Sec 4 courses that I teach have to know this, but people working with straight line equations at various different levels will have a tendency to need to know this and find it useful. Parallel lines have the same slope. That's sort of obvious when you think about it. If I have a line and it has a slope of 2, and there's another line that is parallel to it, well, since the slope is a measure of how tilted the line is, the two lines being parallel have to be tilted the same way. So the slope of the second line should also be 2. With perpendicular lines, it's not quite as obvious. The slopes of two perpendicular lines are the negative reciprocal of each other. And a student might be thinking, okay, what does that mean? Well, negative means it's the opposite sign. Reciprocal means the fraction is upside down. So if the slope of line 1 is 3/4, and line 1 is perpendicular to line 2, the slope of line 2 is going to be negative 4/3. 3/4 was positive, so the perpendicular line slope will be negative. And then the reciprocal part is the 3/4 gets turned upside down to give 4/3. Because of this, it's actually very convenient to have slopes in the form of fraction. Students often prefer decimals, but it's actually easier to deal with this when you have your slope in the form of a fraction. Let's do a couple of questions where we have to use these facts. In question 1, we know the equation of line 1, which is right here, is y equals 8/9 x minus 7. We can see that the y-intercept has been shown on the graph, but we already knew it from the equation because in the form y equals ax plus b, the b is the y-intercept and the a is the slope. So we're asked, what is the equation of line 2? I know it's going to be y equals ax plus 2 because again in line 2, the y-intercept has been handed to me. It's on the graph. Y equals ax plus 2, I need my a. Well, the a is going to be 8/9. I know my answer because I was given enough information and I know this concept that the slopes of parallel lines have to be equal. So the equation is going to be y equals 8/9 x plus 2. But I need to justify this. As a teacher, when I'm correcting a question like this, I have to pretend I don't know anything. So I see the student has the right answer, I see they have the correct slope, and I have to say, well, how did you know? So the student should justify this by saying a1 equals 8/9, meaning the slope of line 1 is equal to 8/9. Line 1 is parallel to line 2, therefore a2, the slope of line 2, is also equal to 8/9. Here is the answer, here is the justification for the answer. Now we look at this other question, where line 1's equation is y equals 3/4 x plus 4. Line 1 is perpendicular to line 2, it's shown here, and it's given there. We know the y-intercepts of both lines. We know that the equation of line 2 has to be y equals ax plus 7 because we know the y-intercept, the b. But we need the a, we need the slope. Our answer, because this original equation slope was expressed as a fraction, is just as easy to write down as the answer of the parallel line situation. The equation is going to be y equals negative 4/3 x plus 7. But I have to justify how I knew the slope was negative 4/3. So I do so by saying a1 equals 3/4. Line 1 is perpendicular to line 2. Therefore, a2 is equal to negative 4/3. Again, I write down my answer, but I give justification so that I'm showing how I know that the slope of line 2 has to be negative 4/3. That is today's Daily Dose of Math. Please like, subscribe, and share.